Hello, off we go again. So today it's not just the word extenuating, as you can see on the screen here, but I think it's eight words in total, which only have just about one use in the English language. So you can't really use the word, say, extenuating, except in one particular circumstance, one particular situation. And so we're going to see now, hopefully, a whole bunch of other words which are similarly peculiar in that sense. Let's go over to the website then. So we're reading from MindFloss, and here they've listed very kindly all the words we'll be looking at, and I've already highlighted one word, contiguous, at the bottom. Let's quickly read them through then. So inclement weather, extenuating circumstances, diametrically opposed, bode well or ill, hermetically sealed, Pyrrhic victory, batten down the hatches, and of course the last one, contiguous United States. Normally we said the contiguous states of the United States. Some of them aren't exactly proper sentences as such, but that's like a summary of what we're going to be doing. So let's go to the top of the page. So this was put together by Sam Hindman. Sam Hindman, I thought I'd pronounce the name. Only about 4 days ago. And the title is Eight Words That Are Only Used in One Weirdly Specific Context. Think about it. Have you ever heard anyone say that they had extenuating errands? Yeah, that's kind of right, I suppose. Wouldn't normally say that. Okay, so let's get going then. So extenuating is the first word. So it's over to you, if that's okay, Michael. Whoops, too high. Is that big enough? Can you read that okay? If I make it slightly bigger, maybe? So what happens?
Hmm. Okay,
That
okay.
is slightly bigger. There we go. Over to you.
The English language is certainly bizarre in the best way. Some of it is totally run of the mill, and some of it is full of words that only seem to appear in one extremely specific situation. No one just casually mentions extenuating anything in everyday conversation. And when's the last time someone used diametrically without talking about some being diametrically opposed to something? So let's take a little scroll through eight words that only show up in one weirdly specific context. Inclement weather, extenuating circumstances, diametrically opposed, both well or ill, hermetically sealed, Pyrrhic victory, batten down the hatches, contiguous United States.
Yes, that's really good actually. Very good. Very good. Um, so these are the words we'll be looking at. I don't know if we'll get through them all. Let's hope we do. Definitely some of them anyway. So anything there you want to get back over again? Particularly, perhaps not the
Uh,
red words at the moment. Perhaps we'll come back to, we'll go through them at the end. Well, perhaps now I should say, but not just at the moment. Any of the words in this bit up here you want to go back through?
I have seen
Hmm.
earlier the idiomatic phrase run of the mill,
Yes, that's true.
but I would like to uh, know what does it mean. Run out of the mill, it's
Hmm.
very commonly spread common.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
or you,
basically it. Yes. If something's run of the mill, it's basically very normal, very common, a little bit, perhaps even slightly boring because it's just very ordinary. So, as it says here, ordinary, ordinary, common, unexceptional, with no special or interesting features. It's just normal, regular, run of the mill. So that's how it said, run of the mill. I don't quite know if it's perhaps a mill that grinds wheat into flour, or if perhaps it's that in some way. I don't know. It could be an iron mill making iron.
Mm,
We looked at the origin, it says the origin. So the term comes from the continuous production process of a mill, where the run was the standard,
mm,
unselected output of material, unselected. So if something's unselected, I guess I mean normal, I suppose. So quick look at usage. So usage, it can be described, it can describe a person. So a person can be run of the mill, you might say. A thing can be this, or a situation that is not special or exciting. For example, he gave a fairly run-of-the-mill speech, or it was a very run-of-the-mill meal.
mm.
So
Me.
mill and meal, that's a bit tricky. A little sentence a bit tricky there. Okay. And synonyms: commonplace, average, ordinary, routine, unremarkable, exceptional, middling. Yeah, middling. So when you say middling, so you're not saying it wasn't above average and it wasn't below average. It was just regular, normal, common, ordinary, middling. Not everyone would say middling, but yeah, most people understand that. Okay, let's carry on then. Yeah, so run of the mill. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me just read this a little bit back and then maybe we'll look at some of the words then in more detail. So, the English language is certainly bizarre in the best way. Some of it is totally run of the mill, and some of it is full of words that only seem to appear in one extremely specific situation. No one just casually mentions extenuating. So, extenuating anything in everyday conversation. And when's the last time someone used diametrically without talking about someone being diametrically opposed to something? So let's take a little stroll through 8 words that only show up in one weirdly specific context. Okay, that's quite well written. It's interesting how they say, and when one's, and when's the last time? That's a little unexpected. And when's the last time? Yeah, that's interesting. So in other words, when is the last time? So they took out the I with that little apostrophe out there. Um, I think I think when you said the word bizarre, it was pretty good when you said it, but it wasn't quite there. So do you want to just practice those 2 or 3 words there? Maybe down to the word way, perhaps. So certainly bizarre in the best way. A little bit there, maybe.
Certainly bizarre in the best way.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's even better. So just the word bizarre. Um, so the word, if
Uh,
something is bizarre, it normally means something peculiar, strange, odd, unexpected. So in other words, it's pretty much the opposite of run of the mill, you might say. So there's sort of a bit of a play between these 2 words in this sentence. Well, these 2 sentences, I should say. And I think you do tend to find, maybe it's just me, when you come to the word bizarre, it might get a little bit more emphasis because it's going to be the exciting word in the sentence. So you might give it a bit more pizzazz when you say it, a little bit something you say it in a slightly more exciting way. You don't have to, but often you will hear that. So if I just say that sentence again, and maybe hopefully I'll try to say it in a slightly more exciting way when I get to bizarre. So the English language is certainly bizarre in the best way. So I said it in a slightly interesting way, bizarre. So I gave a little bit of emphasis to it. Anything else there? There was a couple of words. Were there any words here you want to practice? Maybe extenuating, but any other words you would want to practice a little bit?
extenuating,
Yeah.
extenuating.
So we'll do that sentence in a moment there, that sentence there. but we'll just practice the word, that word there, the one that's highlighted in sort of rote marks there. So, so it's extenuating, extenuating, extenuating.
Extenuating.
Yeah, that's pretty good, I would say. So let's pop it in the dictionary to get the. So let's quick look at contiguous as it's in there. So if something's contiguous, things that are contiguous are next to each other or touch each other. So in this sense here, it's as we sort of mentioned at the start before we started recording, if something's contiguous. A good example are the contiguous states of the United States of America. So, but that would exclude Alaska and Hawaii, which is why it says down here, this little example sentence says 2 years of travel throughout the 48 contiguous states of America, that would be. So that's what was already in the dictionary. So let's put our word in, extenuating. And as it says, extenuating circumstances. That's one of the options that came up. So extenuating. Let's listen to them.
Extenuating.
There we go. That's the lady. So, and it says, if you say that there are extenuating circumstances for a bad situation or a wrong action, you mean that there are reasons or factors which partly excuse it. And that's the big thing there. Partly excuse it. That's what the real meaning all sits around those words there. So if someone's committed a crime, you might say the extenuating circumstances to the judge, you might say this, and you're hoping the judge will bear this in mind when he's making the sentence. The extenuating circumstances, my lord, in this case are that, and you might say whatever they are, I don't know. So, okay, so do you want to just practice the word a little bit? A little bit. So, extenuating, extenuating.
Extenuating. Extenuating.
Yeah, I think when you get to that E, hold
Extenuating.
on. Yeah, that might. I think you're a little bit going extenuate. I think yours make it. I'm saying 10. I'm basically saying effectively something like 10 when I get here, and you're saying tin, something like tin. I'm saying 10. So, do you want to try again? So, extenuating, extenuating, and again.
Extenuating.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds really good. That's about 90%, I'd say now. Let's listen to them once more.
Extenuating.
Yeah. I can't get it right myself now.
Extenuating.
Extenuating. Yeah. Your go. Extenuating.
Extenuating.
Yeah, you've got it, right? That's it. That's it. So the meaning was, once again, so it's mitigating, qualifying, justifying, moderating. This is moderating. So in the sense, a judge might moderate his sentence or the sentence on the on the
Yeah, not
perpetrators of a
severe.
crime. That's it. Not, yes, right, less severe. That's it. So let's go back to our little passage. So I think you've got that. Actually, you've really got that quite well, I would say. Maybe this word too, I think, when you were saying it. And that's another one of these words, which is in the list of 8 words. So do you want to say that one too? Give it a go.
Diametrically.
Yeah, that's quite good. That's quite good. I'd say 80% on that one. That's pretty good. And so I would say diametrically. Diametrically.
Okay. Okay. Diametrically.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it. You've got it. That's very quick. Very, very quick. Let's pop it into the dictionary to get their meaning and maybe just to hear them say it too. And really, it's opposed is the only other word, which pretty much 99% comes after, I would say. So let's listen to them.
Diametrically.
Yeah, diametrically. So if you say that two things are diametrically opposed, you are emphasizing that that they are completely different from each other. So some synonyms would be completely, completely, totally, entirely, absolutely. And they've got two example sentences, and both of them have the word opposed after it. So I can't, off the top of my head, think of a situation where the word opposed or opposing wouldn't come immediately after like diametrically, but there may be some sentences but it would sound a little bit odd. So, but you pretty much have it there. So, do you want to say it once more? So, diametrically. Do you want to say it once more, Michael?
Diametrically.
Yeah, you've really got that. That is brilliant.
diametrically,
Yeah, that's it. She's got a great voice, that lady.
The letter A is doesn't
Yes.
we shouldn't pronounce the letter A, the second A, diametrically.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good way of thinking about it. Yes. So I think often in British English, we sort of see two letters together, and we sort of think that that makes one particular sound. Um, I'll just go down to the American. Is there an American way of saying it? Isn't that strange? They don't seem to have an American variation on this. Not often they do. In other words, the Americans don't say it. But that's a little strange because I had an idea that this was an American. Oh, it doesn't matter. Well, we've got it now. Okay, so and there was I think it was the list of 8 words. I think it was when you got to victory. The first time you said it, it was the V was a little bit difficult, wasn't it? So we'll probably come on to that on at the end. But in case we don't, we'll just quickly do it right now. So, so Pyrrhic victory, Pyrrhic victory. Do you want to say that?
Pyrrhic victory.
Oh, yes, that's spot on. And once more, Pyrrhic victory. Once more.
Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah, yeah. You pretty much can't improve on that, really. So if in case we don't get to this one, we'll do this one right now because it might be one of the more interesting, perhaps. So there was a king, a Greek king called Pyrrhus. I think his name was Pyrrhus.
Uh,
You probably know the story, don't you? Where he was winning all his battles, but they were at such terrible costs. I think he ended up saying, "If we have another one of these victories, we will be done for," something like that. So it's a Pyrrhic victory is a victory where you might win, but you win at a terrible cost. It was incredibly
well,
expensive. So much so,
it was
you effectively lose in a way. So, sorry, you were going to
yes.
say, Michael? Going to say something?
Yeah, it was it was
Mm.
this Pyrrhic victory is maybe we will see this Pyrrhic victory
Yeah, maybe we'll see a Pyrrhic victory.
soon.
Yes.
Soon, yes.
Yeah, let's hope we do. Let's hope we do. Okay, so so let's go on to now. You read the last one. Perhaps I'll read this one. Now, I haven't read this before, so I'm likely to make big mistakes. So do forgive me. And I see this is actually incredibly short. They are, aren't they? So it starts with I'll read this one though. So inclement weather, and it says inclement in quote marks. Then it says a speech bubble with the word inclement in it. Mental floss. Let me read the text below it. It says, if you've ever heard the word inclement outside of local news broadcasts, people step forward because we know you're lying. Inclement doesn't describe a bad mood. It exists solely to warn you that a storm is coming. Then it goes on to the next word, extenuating. So that's exactly right. Have you heard of this, come across this word before, inclement, Michael?
Honestly, no, I've never seen it
Mhm.
before. Maybe I
Yes,
see it, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't pay attention.
No,
Didn't pay attention.
it went, yeah, that's true. Yes. But I can't think of a single situation where you would say it's not outside of the weather, talking about the weather. So here we go. So inclement.
inclement,
Yeah, so adjective, so it's describing the weather. So inclement weather is unpleasantly cold or stormy. Yeah, so I would have said it's just cold. That's the only time I hear about it. So just have it to describe a storm, to my mind sounds a little odd. And they said back on this website here that it was a storm. So I was a little surprised to see that. So I've only ever heard it in regards to cold weather. So interesting. Yeah. And their example sentence here is riots rarely break out in inclement weather. Yeah, that's it. So inclement. Just want to quickly see how we get that word. Do we get it from the Latin
But
or something?
I
Hmm.
find out the opposite of this inclement. It's clement.
Yes. Oh, are you saying that's a
Yes,
fact?
yes, and this word also used
Mm.
with weather,
Clement. Very clement weather at the moment. That's interesting. So,
mild and
yes.
pleasant weather.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. That's fascinating. So it's got L there. And L stands for Latin, but they have the date here is 1615, which is incredibly late. So it's a very late Latin, I would have said. So inclement, the E is different there. Equivalent to in number three, and Clement, exactly as you said. Yes, yeah, Clemens. Is that the saint? I'm not sure what the S stands for there. Saint of Clemens? I think the S might be saint. I don't know. It's strange that it doesn't. It's not.
Maybe it's related with sort of tangerine. It's called clementine. I don't know. Maybe it's a region of. Uh,
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, a lot of things are possible. but but S of Clemens to me is hard. I can't be entirely certain, but my feeling is that Saint. I don't know. Let me just search that on perhaps Google or AI will help me out there. There's probably people shouting now saying Spa. They're saying can refer to multiple saints, including Saint Clement of Rome, Saint Clement of Alexandria. It doesn't really help us. Oh, that's interesting. Well, Mark Twain. It doesn't really. Oh, yes, of course. I looked at S of Clemens, didn't I? So there are a few people, but and we're guessing now. I don't know. But it might have been there was a case when he prayed for the weather or something back in Roman times, perhaps. I'm guessing. I don't know really. Be interesting to find that out really. So you're only using that circumstance. We're talking about the weather, and they say storms. I was totally unaware of that. I just said just cold weather or just bad weather in general. Actually, perhaps cold weather. But so inclement. Well done. So this is your one now. It's a short one again. So over to you.
extenuating circumstances.
Hmm.
Imagine saying, "Sorry, I'm late. There were extenuating errands." It just doesn't work. Extenuating was born to modify circumstances, and the two have been a package deal ever since.
Yeah, that's right. That's good. Very good. Well done. So let me read it back to you then, the whole thing. So, excuse me. So imagine saying, sorry, I'm late. There were extenuating errands. It just doesn't work! Exclamation mark. So I've put a bit extra
Which
excitement in there. So extenuating was born to modify circumstances, and the two have been packaged together. Sorry, have been a package deal ever since. I stuck the word together in there. Excuse me. Okay, so the so the words I noticed as you were reading it were perhaps so imagine.
mhm.
Shall I try it again? So imagine.
Imagine,
No, that's it.
imagine.
Yeah, you're getting it. That's it. You're still a little bit out, so I might want a bit more practice that one. Let's just go on to the extenuating again. So I think it's how you're breaking up the syllables a little bit too. So if I say it slowly and perhaps slightly wrongly, it might help you to remember. So extenuating, extenuating, extenuating.
Extenuating.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Extenuating. So I suppose let's put that word in the dictionary again. Sorry, let me put it back in the dictionary. Is it? And you emphasize the beginning, and I think you're emphasizing the you a little bit, aren't you? Let's listen. So there's always a little bit of emphasis, isn't it? So yeah, so it's this middle bit gets a little bit of emphasis when you're saying it, when we're saying it, I think. So let's listen to them.
extenuating,
Yeah,
Extenuating.
so her voice goes up a little bit when she gets to the 10, doesn't she? So extenuating, doesn't it? And I think you're slightly going up on the U, but it should be the E, really. So extenuating, extenuating. So do you want to say it once more? Listen to them first, then it's your go. So she says,
Extenuating.
your go, Michael.
Extenuating.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. You've got it. So try and remember that if you
Just
can.
extenuating. Yeah.
Extenuating, extenuating. It is, yeah, extenuating. We'll leave it at that, I think. That's good. And maybe we'll just quickly do the imagine again. So imagine, imagine.
Imagine. Imagine. Imagine.
Um, image, image, imagine. Yeah, it's just let's look put that word in the dictionary. It's just that sound at the beginning. I'm just trying to work out what's happening there. So, imagine a future, imagine a scenario, imagine the agony, imagine the horror. That's some situation, some sort of idioms there, pretty much, or commonly used phrases, I should say. Um, so let's listen to them for a second.
Imagine.
Ooh, it's a bit sort of quick, isn't it? Um, so imagine, imagine. Once again, you'll go, Michael. So imagine, you'll go.
Imagine.
Yeah,
Imagine.
yeah, imagine. Because I think sometimes when you're saying, it sounds like you're saying a little bit like imagine. Imaging. It sounds a little bit like imaging when you're saying it. We're not quite. You're not quite. So I can't quite copy what you're saying really. Um, I can't imagine. So let's just read some of these example sentences because each of them uses the word imagine, and hopefully that will, you know, help you sort of uh, build it up in your memory, sort of thing. So how to pronounce it. So this top one using the word imagine is, so he could not imagine a more peaceful scene. He could not imagine a more. So your go on that one. He could not imagine.
He could not imagine
Yes.
a more peaceful scene.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe the
Imagine.
next one then. Let me do that one for you to start with. So she couldn't imagine living in a place like that. She couldn't imagine living in a place like that. So she couldn't imagine. Your go?
She couldn't imagine living in a place like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I give you like 90% for that one. That's pretty good. So well done. Next one is you can imagine how she must have felt when Mary Brent turned up turned up with me in tow. Strange little saying. Um, sentence. Can you imagine how she must have felt when Mary Brent turned up with me in tow? So can you imagine how? Do you want to do that one there? Can you imagine how?
Can you imagine how
Yeah.
she must have felt when Mary Brent turned up with me in tow?
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. That was basically perfect, that one. Can you
And what
imagine
does
how? Yeah. What is it?
turn
Yeah.
up with me in tow?
Yeah.
What does it
So
mean tow?
yeah, this bit in tow, a little not obvious, is it? So I think that this little picture they've sort of painted here with this little very short sentence, it sounds like this Mary Brent has turned up at her friend's place as expected, but with somebody else with her. So Mary Brent had another friend with her, and the other person with her is the person in tow. So if I went round your house, say Michael, you invited me round to your house, I turned up. Oh, thanks for coming, Tony. I thought I invited you. And you suddenly see someone next to me. Oh, who's that? So that other person is someone in tow that I brought along, sort of thing. So it's as if when a car breaks down, another sort of situation you might use that
Yeah,
phrase in. You give that car a tow. You tie a rope to that other car, and with your car you drive along, and with the rope connected, you pull that other broken car along. So the other car is in tow. So that's the situation where you might use that word as well.
yeah, yeah. I understand. Yeah,
And so the situation when a friend turns up unexpectedly would be
yeah.
in tow, like that. Okay. That's crap on. Yeah, that's good. So I think you had that spot on there, imagine, but try and remember that one if you can. Maybe practice it again in an hour or so, just to see, sort of bed it into your sort of memory sort of thing. So this is my one, and you'll have the next one again. So diametrically opposed, diametrically opposed. And it says diametrically, mental floss. Then it says a speech bubble with the word diametrically in it, mental floss. So that's like the description of the picture above. Then it says diametrically has one job, heighten drama. No one is ever diametrically aligned, and no one is diametrically friends. The word exists exclusively to describe people who disagree so deeply that they need to be that they that they needed that they need a dedicated term for it. Okay. So any words there were a little bit odd, or perhaps you want to practice, or the meaning doesn't mean anything to you? Maybe that one.
Aligned. Aligned, it's like
Hmm.
line.
Yeah, it's as if two people are together on a line. And if two people align, it means they agree, they're together in some way. So that there's no sort of, if things align, it's how it should be in a sense. People agree or things agree in some way. So you might add up, perhaps you're dealing with money and you may add up the figures and you might say, oh, these things align. So there's a sort of correctness there. There's an idea of correctness.
Mhm.
So that's one way it might be used. Okay. Maybe the word heighten, maybe. So heighten,
Uh, Heighten, it's
heighten.
like
Yeah.
height, it's
Mm,
measure, and it's like
mm.
mm, spread or uh, getting bigger drama.
Yes, it's this idea of something increasing in height
Yeah,
in some
increasing.
sense. Um, so that might be an extra few centimeters on top, might be a few inches on top. But normally, and I would say 99% of the time, it's nothing to do with something being something growing in height. And indeed, that would be quite an odd way to use the word. It's something to do with emotions, as it says here in the example sentence. So, so it's increasing emotion in some sense. So let's actually read their description. So, if something heightens a feeling, and they don't say anything else at the moment, do they? So, if something heightens a feeling, or if the feeling heightens, the feelings increase in degree or intensity. And they don't really have a meaning. So down here it does say to make or become high or higher. So you might think it might be somebody's height, but I've never really heard it used in that situation. To make or become more extreme or intense. That's really the way it's used. Heighten. Yeah, 99% of the time it's that in terms of emotion in some way. Okay, there we go. So heighten. Okay, so that was my one. So are you okay saying the word diametrically? So did it before, didn't we? I think so. Diametrically. Do you want to just practice that a little bit again? So diametrically.
Diametrically,
Yeah.
diametrically.
Yeah, you've got it. Yeah. We did that one earlier, didn't we, really, I think. There's a little advert for some other mental floss articles. So this is your one now. So over to you, Michael.
Bored, bored, bored. Bored is a free agent in theory, but let's be honest. You only ever seen it next to well or ill. And yeah, I suppose this is technically cheating, but it's still a pretty exclusive word.
Mm.
Word.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that's nice. Well done. That's good. Um, So abode. Let me let me read it back then. So so bode, bode. I suppose I'm being quite very sort of strangely, this is one of those words you probably wouldn't rush if you were saying it. Very often in English, you can rush a lot of words, and you sort of, and really sort of run all the words together, almost as if they were one very long sound. I'm sure you've heard people talk that way. But often, if you're using sort of this sort of phrase here, and this is really a phrase, I would say, bode well or bode ill, it normally said quite slowly, I would say, and very precisely. And again, it isn't really used anywhere else, as just as it says here. So let me read it through again. So, bode is a free agent in theory, but let's be honest, you've only ever seen it next to well or ill. And yeah, I suppose this is technically cheating, but it's still a pretty exclusive word. So they're sort of saying there are a few other places you could use it, but okay. So the word is bode. Do you want to say the word again? So bode.
Bode, bode,
Yeah.
bode
Um,
well.
so maybe the D is a little bit quiet when you're saying the D. It's not quite strong enough, I would say. So when you said it once then or twice then, I thought I heard you say a little bit, it sounded a bit like boat. It wasn't exactly like boat, but it could have been almost boat. So that's not fair, really. But that's sort of what the way I thought the word was going, maybe. Um, so bode. So I guess the emphasis is at the beginning again. Perhaps this part here. Um, so let's listen to how they say it in the dictionary. So bode, bode. So I think it might come from. I wonder if it comes from bid, as you might bid someone hello, or I bid you good day. You might say to someone. You might say that perhaps in Victorian times, 150 years ago. You wouldn't say it now, but I wonder if it comes from that originally. So let's listen to them.
bode,
Bode. So it's as if it's this word here. So this is the word bow. You know, you have perhaps a bow and arrow. This is the obviously the bow, but if you put an ed on the end, so sort of bowed. If that makes any sense. So it's so these two words here sort of make the same sound pretty much. Homophones, something like a homophone, I would say these are. Bowed and bowed. So maybe think of this other word too. So if it's a bow and arrow, you might think, well, how can it be bowed? How can it be the past tense? Well, probably it can't be if it's bow and arrow. It's perhaps a violin and you have um, the horsehair string part that you play the violin with. You bow the violin, you might say. So in the past tense, you might say, I bowed the violin. When you sort of, I've forgotten what the how you play a violin now. Never mind. Okay. Um, so in this sense here, use the word bode. It means augur, portend, threaten, predict.
Mm.
So you might say, oh, that incident that just happened, that bodes ill, or that bodes well. You might say if something happens, but there is a sort of a sense in which you're predicting something in which you don't really know. It's just a feeling you have. And so it gives you the sense or the desire to say that is a prediction. But their first sentence here is quite good, and it says, "She says the way the bill was passed bodes ill for democracy." So something was done
Mm.
legally, and it's sort of damaging towards democracy, is what it's saying, I suppose. So, so we just sort of practice these sentences then to help you with the word bodes. So let's listen to how they say it. Maybe it might be interesting.
She says the way the bill was passed bodes ill for democracy.
Bodes. Yeah, okay. So she says the way the bill was passed bodes ill for democracy. Do you want to say that again? Do you want to practice that, Michael?
She says, she said the way the bill was passed bodes ill for democracy.
Yeah,
Democracy. Demo,
yeah,
democracy.
yeah. That's brilliant.
Bodes. Bodes.
Yeah. So let's do those three words there. So bodes ill for democracy. Maybe those few words there. So passes bodes ill for democracy. So passes bodes ill. So your go passes bodes ill.
Past, past bodes ill for democracy.
Yeah, yeah, past.
Bodes ill. Past bodes ill.
Yeah.
Bodes ill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you've got that. That's good. And I said that wrong. Past. Should have said past. Um, and also this. So that three letter word there. So ill. We also had it in the reading a few minutes ago, didn't we? The word ill was there. Um, so when you're pronouncing the double L, it is a little bit slight sounds like you're pronouncing a W when you're doing the ill, the ill
Mm.
sound. So let's write it up here. So ILL. When you're saying that, I can hear in your voice, ill, ill, a little bit like that. So if I had the word hill, I say hill, but I think you might perhaps say hill, hill, hill. Or another one might be still. So still, still, and what I guess some people might say still, still. So it's as if the two L's are turned into a W a little bit. So do you want just those three words there? So I'll do them first of all. So ill, hill, still. You'll go.
Ill, ill, still.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Spot on. Well done. Pretty good. Okay. Oh, there's ill there, of course. That's where the ill was coming from, wasn't it? Okay, so okay, let's um yeah, I think we've done it, haven't we? Let's so I've done you did the last one, so I'll do this first one then. So hermetically sealed, it says. Hermetically sealed. And it says hermetically. Let's go down to the text. Now this word is a little underground. If you will. Hermetically sealed sounds like something out of a sci-fi lab, but it mostly refers to food packaging and those little foil seals you peel off with your teeth, even though you're not supposed to. That's my one. So do you want to say the word hermetically? Hermetically.
Hermetically, hermetically,
Yeah, and again?
hermetically.
Yeah. It could be a little bit stronger on the H at the beginning, so hermetically. So think I'm sort of saying her at the beginning, pretty
Uh,
much. Hermetically, hermetically. You'll go?
Herm hermetically, hermetically,
Yeah.
hermetically,
But not too strong, not too strong. Just in the middle sort of thing. So you're almost there. So
hermetically,
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 yeah. That's probably a little bit too strong. So just turn
her
it back a little bit and you'll be okay, I think. So when you first did it, it was just a bit too quiet. And now you've sort of gone the other way a little bit. So if you can just somehow get it into the middle, you'll be spot on. So it's very easy. But we're just practicing. So in a sense, it's okay to get it wrong, because it's kind of by getting it wrong that you can somehow then get it right. So it's okay to do that. So let's just listen to them though. I wonder. Oh, that's interesting. So it says hermetically, and then they've got her, comma, metically. I wonder what they. I don't quite know why that's there at the top of the screen, but that's interesting. So in American English, so so as to be airtight, and then it just says hermetically sealed. So that's interesting. And there's no, so it's almost as if it's like a brand name or something. I don't quite know how we get the word, but they're saying from 1595 to 1605, that's when it came about. I can't think how or why. Back in the 1500s or almost 1600s, really, I guess. So, so do you fancy reading that sentence there? So, back down to the bottom, I guess. Do you fancy reading that bit there, then maybe? Hermetically sealed. You'll go.
Uh, hermetically sealed sounds like something out of a sci-fi lab, but it mostly refers to food packaging, and those little foil seals you peel off with your teeth, even though you are not supposed to.
Mm, yeah, that's it. So we'll just finish up on it, say a couple more times. So hermetically, hermetically, you'll go.
Her, hermetically,
Yes.
hermetically,
Yeah, it's a
is
strange one, isn't it?
in East European style, hermetically,
Ah, yes, I guess so. Yes. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
her, hermetically.
Yeah, I think that's one we might have to come back to next week or so you're sort of sometimes you get it, but sometimes you're sort of quite a way out sort of thing. So maybe don't practice that one too much because it'd be very easy to just go completely wrong with that one, I think. So this is the one we sort of looked at the very beginning, and it's just about 7 o'clock in London. So we're coming towards the end now. So I think I read the last one. So this is your go now. This is your one.
Okay, Pyrrhic victory. Another word, another $5 word for you. Pyrrhic is the word you learn once in English class, forget for 10 years, then suddenly remember. Essentially, it means victory, but a victory that comes at a deep personal cost.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, very true.
Word.
Well, yes. Or it says personal here, but it could be um, a real military cost as well. It's a very severe military cost. You know, your whole arm, you won the battle, but the whole army was pretty much wiped out. Okay, so let me read it through as well. So my go. I can't seem to bring my cursor down. Okay, leave it there then. So this sound does sound American, doesn't it? So another $5 word for you. Pyrrhic is the word you learn once in English class. Forget it for 10 years, then suddenly remember. I suppose I should have read it that way. Essentially, it means victory, but a victory that comes at a deep personal cost. Yes. Okay. So, so your Pyrrhic's pretty good, I would say. That's quite a good, an unusual word. You only really see it next to the word Pyrrhic, next to the word victory, I should say. I think your victory was okay as well, but there was something I can't think what the word was now. Something else sounded. Oh, the word, wasn't it? So
Mm.
word. So maybe we'll just practice that sort of half sentence there down to class, and I'll read it to you. Then it's your go maybe because it's got Pyrrhic in there as well. So it's the word is particularly word, word. And when I think about that, if I was going to, I think I've said this before, I think. So with that particular word, although it obviously has an O, it's almost as if we were saying it as if it was like an E in one sense. So the O, to my mind, it might be better if it was actually an E, because the sound we're making is sort of w, then isn't it? Erd. So do you want to just say it a couple times here, maybe? So word, word.
Word, word,
Yeah.
word.
I think the erd sounds pretty good. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. But when it's next to the W, it seems to make the W die. It doesn't sound quite right when you're saying it, I would say. But you got the erd bit right now, I would say. Um, so I guess it's the w sound. What, I'm trying to think what the W words are there. So that's wonderful. Let's just say wonder maybe. Uh, how about this word here? It's a W-O word, so wonder, wonder.
Wonder, wonder.
Hmm. Sounds a little bit like I think I said this before too. So these are two words that sound very, very similar, and I can hear probably 50% this word down the bottom, as well as a bit of that word too. It's sort of in the middle between these two words, but I must admit these two words are very, very similar. But yeah, your W sounds pretty good there. So it doesn't, in a sense, forget this slight problem here. But so let's just practice these two sounds together, maybe. So wander, wander, and again maybe.
Wonder,
Yeah, this is the word we're doing. Wander.
wonder,
Yeah, okay. Wander, wander.
wonder,
Yeah, that
wonder.
sounds. Yeah, your W there sounds fantastic. Wander, wander. So let's maybe go up to this word here. So I'm saying these two words on the screen here, the way where my cursor is, are sort of equal in sound. This doesn't really exist, this word, but it's hopefully it might help us with this pronunciation a little bit. So word, word.
Word,
Yeah, yeah, that's better.
word,
Yeah, word. That sounds not too bad actually. Yes, word, word.
word,
Hmm.
word.
Word. Oh, your last one was pretty good too, I think. When you relaxed a little bit and said it again half under your breath. That's perhaps the best one you had actually out of all of those guys. But you're definitely improving there, I would say. Word. Yeah. Maybe we'll come back to that one. That is a bit tricky, isn't it? I think your victory was okay too when you read it out. That was good. So, um, and this is a little bit of a saying, I would say. Perhaps an idiom, sounds like a saying or an idiom. Batten down. So this is my one, I think, isn't it? So, batten down the hatches. Batten down. Batten is a word that spends its life preparing metaphorical ships and emotional adults for metaphorical storms. You don't batten down a tote bag. You don't batten down your meal prep. You batten down those hatches. So really, the batten down hatches, that's the classic idiom or saying which is used in English. So have you seen this before, this little phrase, Michael, at all? Batten
No,
down.
no, no.
Oh,
But
really? Okay. Yeah.
uh,
Okay. So if you batten down the hatches, you're getting ready for some sort of a storm. And that's why I mentioned storm up here.
mhm,
So in a very practical sense, if there's a tornado in America, if you live in America or where there's tornadoes, perhaps, you might have pieces of wood and you nail them over the windows to stop them being blown out because the storm might be so intense, or probably might be so it's going to be so damaging, I should say. So a batten is a long piece of wood which you would put over a window to protect it.
mhm,
But there's hatches here, so in this sense here, it was probably talking about a ship where there was going to be a ship and you would seal up the doors and hatches and windows on a ship so they'd be protected from the storm, sort of the waves getting in or whatever. So that's the idea, sort of thing, is there? Batten down those hatches, and it's used in many other situations in life too. So get ready for some sort of serious problem is another way of talking about it, another way of using it, I should say, or referring to it. So do you fancy reading it through yourself? Do you fancy reading this one through? So I read it through, and that's your go, I think. So over to you, Michael, for a quick read through there.
hold this button down.
Yeah, you might just read the whole thing, really, just for practice. The whole thing, a little bit down the bottom here in blue.
Mm.
Batten.
Button is a word that spends its life preparing metaphorical ships and emotional adults for metaphorical storms. You don't button down a tote bag. You don't button down your meal prep. You button down those hatches.
Mm. Yeah, that's
Hatches.
pretty good. That's it. Well done. Um, are there any little phrases or words that don't make sense to you? You didn't quite understand. We just done
Uh,
sort of batten.
it button down a tote bag.
Yeah.
I don't think.
So, well, first of all, they're saying this is something you don't do. So this is a meaningless sort of a phrase in a sense.
Yes, yes, yes. But would tote,
So a
tote bag.
tote bag is really a sort of ladies tend to have them. It's sort of a bag you might put your purchases in, but it's I can't really just I don't you know I really don't know what the difference is. Normally it's made out of something quite sturdy. It's not a plastic bag, so this is just a tote bag. It's just a bag really. So not this tote bag actually says the tote bag, beg your pardon on it. I've got hiccups now. But so this tote bag is £300 pretty much, which is extremely expensive. Just a bag, but not a handbag. I tend to think of them as being open across the top. They're just open. So normally
Hmm.
handbags sort of seal at the top. But I'm sure you can get ones where they're sealed. This one looks sealed, doesn't it? I suppose it's the shape and the design of it, really. It's just an excuse so that ladies can buy another bag on top of their handbag. Or to put the handbag in, maybe. I could put my handbag in my tote bag. I'm sure no lady's ever said that. I'm sure no man has ever either, actually. Okay, so I think your metaphorical was quite good. Um, yeah, the word, you did say it actually, I think it came up here. So a couple of times when you said batten, it sounded a little bit like button, as in you
Uh,
press a button on the television or button on the radio, button. Um, so
Battens.
batten and button. Do you want to do both of
Yeah.
those?
Batten, and button.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, batten. Yeah. Yeah, so maybe we'll do that last sentence again because batten comes up two or three times, or three times, I think, doesn't it? So I read it through, then it's your go. Just for the practice of batten, and I think there was another word there. Oh, but no, maybe just do batten for the moment then. So you don't batten down a tote bag. You don't batten down your meal prep. You batten down those hatches. So that's mine go. So your go now, just for practice.
You don't batten down a tote bag. You don't batten down bait. We forgot. Batten down.
Yeah.
Button down your meal. Or
Carry on.
bu-
Do your best. You'll go.
button. Correct.
Just go for that. Keep practicing. Sing. Get to the end of the sentence.
You don't batten down a tote bag. You don't batten down. No, that sounds like button.
No, no,
Batten.
that's good. Carry on. Carry on.
Batten down your meal prep. You batten down those hatches.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you had it. Yeah, I think by the end you sort of had it. And I think you said it perfectly the last time. So it's batten. So bat. So if you have
Hatches.
a bat and a ball, you hit a
Yeah.
ball with a bat. Yeah, does that make sense? And that's really what you're saying, really. That's how you meant to say it. Bat. But this has got the N sound on it too. So batten, batten. And I suppose I am saying bat, and that I am saying pretty much 10. Batten. Well, not exactly 10, but batten, batten.
Button.
Yeah, no, I think you have it.
Batten
You
down.
have it. Yeah, yeah. Um, maybe the word just tote. That's the only other word. So, and you're pretty much there, really. So, tote. So it's an O sound. The O is making an O sound. So a long to O sort of thing. Tote. Do you want to say that again, maybe?
Tote. Tote.
Yeah, tote. Yeah, that's it.
Tote.
That's good. You've got it. Yeah. So, well done. So, okay, we'll leave it there because we've had it more than an hour, I think, now. So, and the last one was contiguous. Contiguous, which I guess is a, sort of comes from the word continuous. Contiguous and continuous. There we go. And I think we actually did this before we actually started recording, and that's actually the last one, isn't it? I think. There we go. Um, okay, so maybe we'll. So those other people didn't turn up, did they? So we really missed them. Oh well, they missed out too, didn't they? So let's stop the recording at that point. Strange. Let's try to stop the recording. Strange.